Welcome everyone, my name is Rigel and welcome back to another episode of Review and Preview, where I'll be taking a look at the national finals that happened this week, as well as preview the national finals that will happen next week. But because, there's not a lot of national finals left anymore, in the middle I'm also going to talk about the internal selections a little bit. But for now, let's take a look at what happened yesterday and the day before that. And chronologically and alphabetically, let's start with Germany. Now, the reason I say chronologically is because Germany's national selection was the only one to take place on Friday rather than Saturday. It took place around 10 p.m. German time, which is hell for me because it started at 5 a.m. and I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched all the performances and then went to sleep. Anyways, the national final is called Unser Lied für Liverpool, which in German means our song for Liverpool. They have this trend of calling their national final Unser Lied für and then the host city, or sometimes country in the case of 2019. This year, the voting system was basically like 50% televote and 50% jury, which all sounds fine and well on the surface, but there's an issue because the televote is actually proportional, which means let's say if an act gets like 25% of the televote, that's already more than all the points that an act can get from all the juries if they gave them 12, because I think there were 8 or 9 countries. It was a 50% international jury and 50% televotes, and the show was hosted by Barbara Schöneberger, who, if you don't know, basically hosts pretty much every single German national final since, the 2010s. And she's also been the German spokesperson for a very long time now. I believe since 2011 or 2012. So yeah, she's pretty interconnected with Germany and Eurovision, let's just say. She hosted the show, and also there were some. These were the fan favorites: Patty Gurdy, Lord of the Lost, and Frida Gold. Actually, one thing I forgot to write here is that Frida Gold actually had to withdraw because the lead singer of Frida Gold, which surprised many people, because Frida Gold isn't actually the name of the female singer. It's actually the name of a duo, basically, I think, or a group, something like that. And the lead singer is named Alina. I can't remember her surname. But Alina from Frida Gold actually got sick after the first rehearsal, and unfortunately they just had to withdraw. So yeah, Frida Gold was out with what many thought was one of the better songs of the national final. The other two were still in. And I also noted that Ike Hüftgold is a very popular name in Germany, but also a very controversial one. He's done blackface before. He's posted many songs with sexist lyrics in them, more precisely misogynist lyrics in them. So, yeah, a lot of people were not pleased that Ike was in the national final, but he won the TikTok wildcard. So, they had to kind of follow the rules. He has quite a fan base because apparently he makes Schlager party music or something like that. And there was a huge group of people in the live audience as well who were just clearly fans of him and not anyone else. So yeah, many people were worried that Ike would win the whole thing because the jury really didn't matter that much, and he was very popular. But and in fact, apparently he even hired planes to fly with some banners saying "Vote for Ike." So yeah, that's kind of what happens when you have money, isn't it? Yeah, so many people were worried that he would win, but thankfully he didn't. In fact, he didn't even win televote. The televote was actually won by Lord of the Lost, who got 146 points, as opposed to Ika Huftegold, who only got 101. So yeah, like I mentioned here, neither of them were actually top 3 in the jury, but it didn't really matter because the jury didn't actually have much of an influence. So yeah, anyways, the final top 2 were Lord of the Lost and Ika Huftegold, but Lord of the Lost got a higher televote score. I suspect this is not only due to their popularity, but also due to the fact that they were last in the running order, actually right after Ika Huftegold, mind you. So yeah, they won with their song Blood and Glitter, and they will represent Germany in Eurovision 2023. This is the first time they've sent a rock song since forever. You know, I think some people debated, I think 2005 being a rock song, but I don't know. But yeah, Germany with a rock song in Eurovision 2023. Pigs might fly. So yeah, Germany not selecting a problematic act for once. Good job on them. Right, moving on to Iceland. With Iceland, we of course have the national finals Söngvakeppnin, which took place yesterday, and there were 5 acts in the final, which were Diljá, Celebs, Bragi, Langiseli og Skuggarnir, and also, Siga Osk. Those 5 were competing, and one of the interval acts was Subwoofer with Give That Wolf a Banana, which, of course, if you know me, I just turned off the sound and went to watch something else. Yeah, and also there was this weird skit where one of the hosts pretended to fall over, and then and then they randomly had Diljá step on his leg and then like sing this really high note or something like that. I don't know. I didn't really get it, but yeah. Anyway, Diljá was a favorite up absolutely, and also Celebs, although many people recognized that their performance was very messy, and also the guys' vocals weren't that great, I think. So yeah, there was that. And yeah, in the super final, we finally had Diljá and Langiseli og Skuggarnir. And the televote took place again, but yeah, like I mentioned here, there was a scare when RUV put the wrong number for Diljá to vote. Fortunately, many people, including in Iceland, noticed that, and it seems like it was a genuine, earnest mistake by RUV, because they actually addressed the issue live on air and said that they whoever voted for the wrong number would have their votes added back to Diljá's correct number. So yeah, that's good on them. And also, very interestingly, the stop voting sequence was actually featuring Sam Ryder, who obviously didn't really show up to Iceland, but he filmed like this little segment 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which was very interesting. And it turns out Diljá actually emerged victorious. So basically, she won the national final with her song named Power, and she will take part in the first half of the second semi-final. And actually, something that I only just saw today is that RUV reported that over 250,000 votes were cast in the final. And I just checked, and Iceland has a population of 372,520. So more than 2/3 of the entire Icelandic population voted in the national final. For reference, Benidorm Fest, which is Spain's national final, only had 30,000 votes. So yeah, it's huge. You can clearly see how important Eurovision is to the people of Iceland. But this is even a new record even for them. So yeah, this is huge for them. And yeah, I think a lot of other countries would aspire to voting figures like that. I think the second best one after Iceland would probably be Finland, where they have about 5 million people, population, and I think there were about 1.7 million votes, which was still pretty good. Of course, in raw numbers, that's a lot higher, but yeah, in percentage wise, no one comes close to Iceland. So yeah, Diliao with the song Power will take part in Eurovision 2023 for Iceland. Now, with that said, let's move on to Moldova. With Moldova, we had the national final Etapa Națională, which is a new name. I think I mentioned this multiple times now, but it's a new name. Previously, in 2022, it was supposed to be called just Selecția Națională. And in 2019 and before that, it was just called O Melodie pentru Europa, I think. So yeah, this year they had a new name, but the show was still equally as chaotic. So yeah, it took place on the 4th, which is yesterday as I record this, and there were 10 acts in the final. The three main favorites were the three returnees: Alio on the Moon, who was in 2013, Sunstroke Project, of course, you might know them better as Epic Sax Guy, 2010, 2017, and Pasha Barfeni, who was in 2012. And TRM, which is the Moldovan broadcaster, actually invited Eurovision 2023 representatives to perform in the national final. And in the end, we had Theodore Andre from Romania, of course. It just makes sense, right? And also Southern Lights from Latvia, which is very interesting because, they're not exactly close, are they? Well, they kind of are, but yeah. These were the only two Eurovision 2023 representatives who performed here. And might I say myself, Southern Lights was probably the best performance of the night, including all the participants. But yeah, Southern Lights and Theodore Andre performed as interval acts. There were also other interval acts, which were, Zapshi's Dub and Fratzi Advahov, although I don't think they were singing Treniletul. I wasn't actually watching the whole thing. In fact, I didn't watch most of it, but whenever I did tune in, I did see Zapshi's Dub and Fratzi Advahov singing. So yeah, those were some of the interval acts as well. And apparently Blanka from Poland was supposed to sing as well, but she claims that her flight was cancelled and she couldn't find a replacement, which is funny because people checked flight records and they couldn't find any Warsaw to Chisinau flights that were cancelled. In fact, there was one going there pretty much on the day Blanca posted a statement. So, who knows? Maybe she just didn't want to go. Maybe she didn't want to get bullied. I don't know. Yeah, no clue. But yeah, Blanca just didn't show up. So yeah, anyways, the national final itself, we had Alio on the Moon performing 7th, Sunstroke Project 8th, and Pasha Parfeni 9th. Now, there were actually some scares that TRM were actually trying to sabotage Pasha Parfeni, because for some reason his microphone was a lot quieter than his backup singers. Yeah, there was that, but in the end, that just turned out not to be the case. People thought they were trying to sabotage Pasha Parfeni, but in the end, he won the jury and he won the televote. Provided he didn't win the jury by huge margin, he only won by one more points than Alio on the Moon. But she came second in the jury and I think 4th actually in the televote. But those two in the jury, Alio on the Moon and Pasha Parfeni, were quite a way off from Sunstroke Project, who only got 30-something points. Alio on the Moon got 52. Pasha Parfeni got 53. But that didn't matter because after the jury vote, it was just converted to the uniform 12-10-8. And then after that, after what 3 hours of a show, uh, the televote was just revealed in like 2 seconds. The entire scoreboard was just revealed in like 2 seconds. Yeah, and it was revealed. They also revealed the exact votes as well. It was being reported that they would reveal the televote real time, although I actually didn't catch that at all. But at the end, they just, without any tension at all, they just revealed the entire scoreboard, which I still find really funny. 3 hours of pretty much nothing, and then and it just suddenly boom, scoreboard. Anyways, Pasha Parveni actually quite comfortably won the televote. In fact, I believe second place was Sunshine Project in the televote, and they got, I think, 2,700 votes or something like that. And Pasha Parveni pretty much got double that. So, yeah, pretty convincing win for Pasha Parveni here, who represented Moldova already in 2012. And this time he will be singing the song Soarele și Luna, which means sun and moon. And yeah, he was in Baku 2012 alongside, wait for it, Lorraine. So yeah, anyways, he was in 2012 with the song Lăutar. And this year, he will be representing Moldova with the song Soarele și Luna, whose lyrics was also co-written by his wife, as was Lăutar, I think. So yeah, that's very interesting. And actually, one thing that I didn't include here, because I didn't feel it was very relevant, was that there was this segment before the show when TRM allowed the participants of the national finals to ask one question, and for Pasha Parveni, he decided to ask Southern Lights from Latvia. He decided to ask them, why aren't you drunk yet? Basically, and then they replied that they were busy doing interviews and rehearsals, so they didn't have time. But after the segments, they were gonna go somewhere, and I sure hope they're going somewhere right now, because, well, not right now, but I sure hope they did go somewhere after the national final, because I just feel like they're gonna get along really well. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to Portugal. In Portugal, we had, of course, Festival da Canção, which is, well, the Portuguese national final, duh. But yeah, it was the second semifinal this Saturday, and there were 6 qualifiers. Last week there were 7 because of technical issues, but this semifinal there weren't any technical issues, so there were only 6 qualifiers, which were Voodoo Marmalade, Inish Apenas, Barbara Tinoco, Ivandro Edmundo Inácio, and Punk Sportif, the latter of which was the televote wildcard. And Carlos Mendes, Nicolas Alves, Felipe Sambado, and Surma performed as the interval acts. There's not really much to say about it. I didn't really watch most of the show. I did watch Barbara Tinoco's performance. It was very weird, actually. It was very well thought out, but all the people were very static and stuff. And then in the middle, she reveals that it's all like in a picture frame or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. She sings really well, although I don't think I'd want this to go to Eurovision, even though it's one of my favorite songs this year. So yeah, there's that. And a lot of people were surprised that the Punk Sportif qualified. It's this kind of generic English language no war song, or it's kind of really edgy, if we're being honest. But yeah, there were other favorites. Ivandro was a favorite. Edmundo Inácio were also a favorite. And all of those made it through to the final. So yeah, there's that. With that said, I don't have much else to say about Portugal, so let's move on to Serbia. Now, Serbia, of course, had Pesma za Eurovision, which only really started last year, actually. But yeah, they had the national final Pesmeza Eurovision, which was hosted by Milan Maric and Dragana Kosierina. And it started on the 1st of March, which is, I think, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. It started on Wednesday, which is the 1st of March. And also Kristina Radenkovic and Stefan Popovic were the green room hosts. And there were quite a few favorites, actually, but the main ones were Luke Black, the reboot at Hurricane, Philip Balos, and Zena. Yeah, so the first semifinal took place, like I said, on Wednesday, and Angelina and Savo Perovic did not qualify with the songs La Nat and Presidente, respectively, which surprised quite a lot of people because they really thought they were going to qualify, but, well, guess not. But Philip Balos and Luke Black did. So, yeah. And I didn't watch it that much, so I couldn't really write about the interval acts, but I did watch the second semifinal, where Zena and Hurricane qualified, as well as 6 other acts, which I can't remember right now. And during the show, one of the interval acts was a Eurovision medley. Like I mentioned here, Zoria covered La Nemoye, which I think is at Serbia and Montenegro 2004. Yeah, no clue, but it's a very classic Balkan Eurovision song. Sanja Vucic, you might remember the black hair girl from Hurricane, who's now dyed her hair red. Yeah, she covered Wild Dances, of course, the classic first ever Ukrainian Eurovision winner, and also some other singers covered Fairy Tale, Euphoria, and weirdly enough, some guys dressed like mad scientists went to cover Treniletzel. Like, seriously, they were wearing like long white coats as if they were like lab coats or whatever. So yeah, kind of weird, but yeah, they covered that as well. And the final took place yesterday. I didn't watch the whole thing because it would go on until like 7 a.m. or something like that. Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did watch the performances, most of them, and Zena only placed 7th. The new Hurricane placed 12th. My gosh. I mean, to be fair, a lot of people didn't like their performance, really. It was quite static, even though they sang well. But yeah, the top 5 was Gypsy, Philip Balos, Naja, Prince, and Luke Black. So that means Luke Black won the national final, getting 2nd place in both the jury and televote a la Arcade. So yeah. Luke Black will now represent Serbia in Eurovision 2023 with the song named Samo mi se spava, which means I just want to sleep or I'm just sleepy. And he'll be in the first half of the first semifinal. And I'm actually really glad that this won, because this was one of my favorites, but also because it's not what you'd think of as Serbia at Eurovision. You know, they tend to send like Balkan ballads or something like that. You know, something that sounds ethnic, but you know, clearly last year they sent something very different. You know, Incorporisano was very avant-garde, you might say. Certainly very different from your standard pop song. And this year, people were worried that this wouldn't win. This wouldn't be able to win the national final, because unlike Incorporisano, this wasn't necessarily catchy. But like I mentioned earlier, Luke Black actually got 2nd in both the jury and televote, and actually from some stats that some people gathered, Samo mi se spava was actually the 2nd most streamed PZE song you know, this year, you know, right before a show. Ironically, the most streamed, I think, was Zena, and obviously Zena didn't actually do all that well. But yeah, Luke Black with his again, another kind of avant-garde song with a social meaning. social meaning sounds so weird, but yeah, it has a deeper meaning in the song, and it's also not necessarily a pop song as such. He will also be representing Serbia, so well, actually, I think the word to describe this would be alternative. So yeah, some very unique songs coming from Serbia these past few years, and we're love to see it. So yeah, Serbia will be represented by Luke Black with Samo mi se spava. And finally, let's move on to Sweden. With Sweden, we just had the semi-final of Melodifestivalen, which some people still call Andra Chansen, or the second chance round. It took place in Örnsköldsvik on Saturday. So Teos opened the show, Kiana closed it. And one of the interval acts was Luciano's performing Piccadilly Circus by Pernilla Wahlgren, because Pernilla Wahlgren was not available to perform the song herself. So yeah, that was interesting. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the show at all. But yeah, the qualifiers, there were 4 qualifiers out of 8. There used to be duels, but now they've removed they've removed those, and now it's only a simple vote where the 4 most voted entries will get to go to the final. And those 4 turned out to be Mariette, Kiana, Teos, and Nordman. And these 4 will join the other 8 current finalists in the final next week in Stockholm. Right, just like last week, I'm going to do a little recap of the internal selections that might happen next week. So, yeah. And also, I'm recording this on Sunday because next week I'm actually going abroad. And I won't be bringing my microphone with me. So, yeah, I'm going to get this out as soon as possible. So, yeah, with that said, let's get to the internal selections. First off, apparently, well, according to Eurovision Fun anyway, apparently we're getting the song from Greece tomorrow, which is called What They Say, by Victor Vernikos. Although apparently the lawsuit is going to continue. So, yeah, there's a whole situation there. You can read my What We Know So Far blog for more info on that. But apparently, Victor Vernikos' song is coming tomorrow, apparently. And then the day after that, aka Tuesday, we're going to get a song from Switzerland, which is allegedly called Warriors, although we don't know that for sure. And I think, well, according to Crystal Ball ESC, they describe it as Louis Capaldi meets Imagine Dragons. So, yeah. So you might imagine it as something that's kind of similar to what we've already got from Cyprus. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. And then the day after that, which is the 8th, or, well, Wednesday, we're going to have the song from Austria, which is most likely going to be Edgar Allan Poe, but keep in mind we haven't actually heard the full version. Apparently, the cut that's been leaked on Crystal Ball ESC, that was apparently them singing a demo live. So yeah, it was very much work in progress, and now they've got a music video and everything that was apparently shot in Prague. So that's coming out on Wednesday, and another song that's coming out on Wednesday is the song from Israel, which is, of course, Unicorn by Noah Kirel. She posted a snippet earlier on, and in it, I think she was saying, like, femininelle, whatever that means. So yeah, that's Israel with Unicorn. Yeah, so there's pretty big expectations there because, you know, Noah Kirel is a pretty big name and she's working with pretty big names. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. And also, we don't have a confirmation yet, but various media in Armenia are reporting that on the 9th, that is Thursday, we're gonna get the song from Brunette, who is of course representing Armenia. And actually, I think someone wrote down the name of Brunette's song, which is actually in Armenian, which is interesting. But I can't find it right now. So yeah, anyways, many media in Armenia are reporting that Brunette's song is going to be released on the 9th, that is Thursday. And apparently the title of the song is in Armenian as well as the chorus. And the song is kind of in the genre of R&B and pop. Some people have described it as a mix between 2014 Armenia and 2016 Armenia. So we'll have to see what happens there. And then we've also got some countries that we don't have the dates for yet. Azerbaijan, who apparently were supposed to announce their representative back in January, and wonder what happened to that. And after that, we've also got Georgia. We don't have much news from Georgia yet, but apparently just today, Iru Hachanovi posted on Facebook that the premiere of the clip will be held soon, in a few days. So yeah, there's that. If you want some updates, if it's apparently going to be a few days, whatever that means. And finally, we have the UK. There are tons of names going around. Just to name a few, we have Mimi Webb, Freya Ridings, Rina Sawayama, of course, Birdie. Although Birdie's been pretty much disproven at this point. So yeah, there's a lot of names going around. But what we can probably sleuth out is that it's probably going to be a woman singing for the UK this year. But we don't even have to sleuth that out, because Tap actually said in an interview that maybe we should not have a man, or something along the lines of that. So yeah, it's probably going to be a woman, a soloist woman, singing for the UK. Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting distracted because apparently I just read this thing saying the song from Greece might postpone their song presentation. So yeah, no idea. It's a big mess in Greece right now, obviously, with the train crash and all that. So yeah, all right, sorry, back to the UK. I'm all over the place right now. Yeah, like I said earlier, there's a ton of names being rumored, but apparently Graham Norton knows who it is, and Zoe Ball also might know about it. So yeah, there's that. It's like I said, it's probably going to be a soloist female, but we don't really know much beyond that. So yeah, that's really about it, and we're almost near the end of the national final season. So with that said, let's get on to a very, very short preview, because these are our last two national finals of the season, and this is going to be the last preview, because the week after that we don't have any more national finals. So first off, we have Portugal, of course, Festival de Canção. And like I write here, the favorites are Claudia Pascoal, Mimi Cat, Barbara Tinoco, Ivandro, and Imundo Inácio. Yeah, it's pretty much the winner is probably going to be one of these five. I would wager, honestly, it's probably between Claudia Pascoal and Mimi Cat, because they're, I think, the ones getting the most traction. So yeah, it's probably going to be one of these two, but I wouldn't rule out Ivandro and Mundo Inácio either. All of these have got good streaming numbers as well, so yeah, we'll see what happens. But what we do know for sure is that David Fonseca, Salvador Sobral, and Mauro will be the interval acts. And with Sweden, of course, we have the national final Melodifestivalen. The final of Melodifestivalen generally generally signifies the end of national final season, because usually it's Festival Canção and Melody Festivalen, which are the last national finals of each season. Last year it was joined by Iceland, but this year, of course, we already have the result from Iceland. So yeah, we're gonna have Melody Festivalen's final on the 11th of March in the Friends Arena in Stockholm. Now, nominally speaking, some of the favorites are Marcus and Martinez with Air and Maria Sur with Never Give Up. But yeah, let's be honest. No one's gonna win other than Lorraine. I mean, look at the bookmakers. She has over 75%. Actually, when I was writing this segment, it was 77%, and right now, as of recording this, it is 79%. So, absolutely insane. Like I mentioned, I think last episode, Lorraine's song and the performance of the song was trending in multiple countries outside of Sweden and outside of the Nordics even. So yeah, very much huge, generating huge hype around Europe. So there's pretty much no chance of her not winning at this point. And of course, like I said, Sweden is first place in the Eurovision winning odds because of Tattoo and because of Lorraine. And also, the running order was posted a little while after the semifinal. Jan-Henrik Fjällgren will open the show, and Paul Ray will close it. Marcus and Martinez are performing 4th, Maria Sur 6th, and Lorraine 10th. And 10th was also the position Cornelia was performing last year. And surprise, surprise, Maria Sur is in a position where Anders Bagge was in last year. So yeah, there's that. Teos will follow Lorraine, and after Teos, of course, it's Paul Ray. So yeah, that's national final season. I will still make a video next week, hopefully. But obviously, there's not going to be any preview because after this, we don't have any more national finals. So after this, I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a weekly series reviewing the odds and such. So we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, like this video if you enjoyed my commentary. Subscribe to not miss my next episode of review and, well, preview question mark, and also what we know so far, because that's gonna be coming soon. Yeah, subscribe if you don't want to miss those, and I'll see you next time.